He's more human than any other character I've ever played. He goes to the essence of what it is to be a human being, the struggles of just being alive, and it takes you to places that you can't articulate yourself. It's often said that Shakespeare teaches us to be human, but I feel that in Hamlet that's exactly what he does.
What a piece of work is a man. How noble in reason. How infinite in faculty. In form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god.
It's a play about a man who can't make up his mind. You could argue that Hamlet doesn't really develop. He sort of starts off in a quandary and he ends by being killed by someone else. He sort of prevaricates and he examines himself and he wonders on the afterlife and he plots and he schemes and doesn't really manage to achieve very much. It's potentially quite a boring play, but of course it's not. It's the most extraordinary examination of a human being. And his brain is so quick and complicated, and it's one of those... While you're playing it, for all that you're exhausted and terrified constantly, you're aware that this is the greatest character you're ever going to be allowed inside the head of. You are the cleverest person in the room. You're the most vivid character in the room.
Do not believe it.
Believe what?
That I can keep your counsel and not mine own. Besides, to be demanded of a sponge, what replication should be made by the son of a king?
Take you me for a sponge, my lord?
Aye, sir. That soaks up the king's countenance, his rewards, his authorities, but such officers do the king best service in the end.
I think what's problematic about Hamlet is what's thrilling about him. The very fact that he is defined, his world and his dilemma is defined by the divine, by purgatory, by spirits, by God, and yet at the same time he dabbles with a sense of agnosticism, even atheism. And it's those very contradictions that make him so real. You immediately start to assume this must be Shakespeare's own dilemma, Shakespeare's own conversation that he's having with himself. Because how can one brain be so in tune with this psychology if it's not his own psychology? But of course Shakespeare does that with all the characters that he creates. It's that sort of infuriating genius that he has.
But your news is not true. Let me question more in particular. What have you, my good friends, deserved at the hands of fortune that she sends you to prison hither?
Prison, my lord.
Denmark's a prison.
Then is the world one?
A goodly one, in which there are many confines, wards and dungeons, Denmark being one of the worst.
We think not so, my lord.
Why then 'tis none to you, for there's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. To me it's a prison.
Hamlet shares the personality traits of whoever is playing him to an extent, because in some ways it's such a blank canvas that it sort of shapes itself to fit whoever's having a go. So I'm sure my Hamlet shares many of my personality traits, because the bits in me that chimed with the bits in the script are what bring the character to life, I suppose. He's cleverer than me, he's quicker-witted than me, he's more intelligent than me, he's a better sword fighter than I am, but I like to think I have at least a twinkle of all those qualities.